I was previously married a long time ago. I was out of high school in Georgia. I married somebody very young.
Almost seems like he's telling me for the first time.
Yeah.
When you looked at me.
Yeah.
I know, guys.
yeah, you know about this. So I was married. Anyhow, she's great. I don't say was because I don't think she's dead. So it's weird to say when you're not with somebody anymore. She was great. That seems like she's dead now. She I guess she is still great. I don't know. She's remarried.
Who they are now.
Right, she's remarried or whatever. I can only say great things about her because she was great to me. My point is that she stuck with me for a long time, and then we weren't together. And then when we were not together, because I had kind of a void growing up of lack of parents, lack of a father, really a mom that was very young, she served like the only safe space in this loving place. Anyhow, long story short, when she had enough of my antics, because I was going crazy, I was started to do some drugs and drink a lot and like all this stuff. I was just living a lie. She had enough because she didn't want any of that, and who can blame her? And so within a year of that, her leaving, I got 3 DUIs, driving under the influence, intoxicated, drinking. I got 3 in a year. I got 2 within a month. Now I look back and I'm just like, what? Like, people were trying to stop me. Like, friends were trying to stop me. Like, they were taking keys away from me. They were doing, but I was still finding a way to live this crazy life. 3 driving under influences in a year. And from that, I did, jail a few times. I was 5150'd. That means you go to a mental ward because people thought I was just crazy one night at drinking. I had a panic attack and I was just like out of my mind. They strapped me down. And so I did rehab a couple times. It was crazy. That was not my lowest point. That's the point. Like, that was not my lowest point. Neither was other points similar to that of like getting in trouble and externally having people say, wow, that must be your lowest point. My lowest point was in New York City. I was dating this girl. And I never should have been dating her, but I fell hard for this girl, really, really hard, and in a very unhealthy way because I was not healthy. Have you ever been in a relationship and like you're not healthy, and so like so much of your happiness is reliant upon somebody else because you are so unhappy? I was so unhappy that if I didn't have her, I was just a miserable person. And I remember, we should have been together because like, I met this girl like in a bar. I found her driver's license. Next thing you know, it's like, I'm like, do you want your driver's license? And she came to a comedy show that I was doing at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City. And she came to her driver's license. Next thing you know, like we just kind of had this connection. And then we went out on a date, and I just realized she'd just gotten out of like a 6-year relationship like that day or whatever, like not a space to be in a relationship with me. But in my unhealthy alcoholic mind, I said, I can change her. I can pursue her. And it just ended up being an awful situation where her ex was like trying to get her back, and like obviously he had part of her heart, and I was just like being ridiculous. Anyhow, there was one day she's just like, I'm going to go back to my ex. And that day, and I'm not saying it's the worst day ever because I lost her. I'm just saying I was so without anything. Like I was, okay, I can only explain it this way. I was doing stand-up comedy at the time. Maybe you guys will get this, because when this happened, I felt I had nothing. Somebody called me up. It was a friend of mine who was about the same age. I was like 35 at the time. And I said, how are you doing? He's like, oh man, I'm doing pretty good. I just got a raise, a new promotion in my job, the job that I've always wanted. I got married a year ago. We're expecting our firstborn. We have another house we're thinking about getting in New Hampshire because this was up in New York City. And like all these great things. Mm-hmm. And I used to tell this on stage, just like this. And then my friend told me, Justin, what about you? And I said, I'm just 35. I said, I don't have a house. I don't have a job that I love. I don't have a kid. I don't have a car. I'm just 35. And if you think about that, guys, that is extremely deep. Yeah. When you feel you have nothing in life but your age. And that joke, when I would deliver it, with the right pacing and adding a couple other things, it would hit so hard for people because it's like people could understand. Like I was kind of at that point, and I was trying to make it funny. It wasn't feeling sorry, but I'm just like, I'm just my age. My friend tells me all the great things they have, and I'm like, this girl just broke my heart, and I never should have been in this relationship. Mm. And now I can only say here, walking around the streets of New York City, I'm just 35. I don't have anything. All I have is an addiction. All I have is alcoholism. and a heart that's chasing people who aren't accessible. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Soon after that is when I started to think about getting sober, because that thought never left me. I would tell that joke on stage every night, really for myself. And I'd walk home. I was working at Dangerfields a lot, which is a comedy club in New York, and I'd walk like 60 blocks home, and I would just think about it. I was just like, well, how can you change? And I couldn't stop drinking much at the time, but I said, man, first thing, why don't you stop drinking, dude? You know, years ago you got 3 DUIs, and you obviously have a problem. And every time you go out with a girl, like I was trying to sleep with them, but I was just trying to give them a bunch of drinks. I was just trying to make bad decisions all around. And I'm just like, you're 35. Like, haven't you done that enough? The day I got sober wasn't like the worst day. It was like an awesome day. Like I saw this movie, and in this movie, I saw this person who was kind of like myself, and I'm like, that guy's pathetic. And I'm like, well, that's you, Justin. But I'm like, I kind of had this pride swell up in me, because this is way past, I was over that relationship now. And this pride came, and I'm like, you just change it. Tomorrow, just don't drink. That's all you got to do. And this is my advice to people who want to change your life. Don't complicate things, and don't make excuses. Tomorrow, you do one thing.
Yeah.
You do one thing. And that one thing might be you walk in 10,000 steps to lose weight. That one thing might be you're not drinking any alcohol. That one thing might be you're not texting that person back that you shouldn't. That's it. You do one thing. So for me, the one thing was, I'm not going to drink tomorrow. And then that turned into the next day, and then the next day, and now I've got 8 years, and my life changed, and I channeled my energy into a great direction, and I made myself available and accessible to a family and to love, and open up like a healthy relationship. That was probably my lowest point, is when she told me that, and I was walking around the Lower East Side of New York City, and I was just like, nobody knows what I'm feeling. I was looking at people, and just like, they have no idea what I'm feeling. And I wanted a hug. Like I wanted them to like recognize or honor. But if I really told them the truth, they'd be like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
What are you doing? That was the lowest point. But for me, I chose to take action on it, because I knew that I deserved a good life and to be happy like we all do. And so I started crawling my way out of it, moment by moment, day by day. But that was probably the worst time of my life, is that moment.